Hello, good evening and welcome to Newsnight. This bulletin is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and in over 30 affiliates across the country. Tonight, Parliament unites in outrage after 29-year-old man Charles Amissah died following a hit-and-run accident, with Minority Leader calling for a parliamentary inquiry into the incident, citing a disturbing trend of similar cases.
The Ministry and HEFRA have launched investigations. We welcome these actions. And so our Committee for Health should follow up on what government is doing and then bring us a report.
We have details as Deputy Health Minister promises Parliament that measures are being taken to prevent a repeat of the Circle Overpass tragedy, including retooling ambulances for better emergency response. Meanwhile, the Ghana Medical Association is cautioning the government against blaming healthcare workers for systemic failures.
We also do not want it to be seen as if the nurses and doctors involved there are the only people at the problem, and we are looking for scapegoats to punish rather than use it as an opportunity to solve a systemic problem.
Also, police arrest 6 Aggrey Memorial SHS students after the alleged assault of a final year Adisadel College students just days after a similar violent incident in the central region. Tonight, we'll hear from the Ghana Education Service on steps being taken to address inter-school violence.
In business,
government downplays huge cost concerns associated with the name change of Kotoka International Airport to Accra International Airport.
In sports,
Kotoka coach Prince Owusu not giving up on title after 2-0 win against Young Apostles.
And a bit later, Ghana Meteorological Agency warns of increased rainfall patterns in the southern sector in the coming months.
We are likely to have a lot more rainfall compared to the long-term mean. And so it goes to tell us that people who are living in flood-prone areas and possibility of flooding and flood will occur.
Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Ofori.
Hello again. Tonight, Parliament is united in outrage after a 29-year-old man, Charles Amissah, died following a hit-and-run accident at the Circle Overpass. MPs from both sides are demanding answers, with Minority Leader Adisadel College calling for a parliamentary inquiry into the incident, citing a disturbing trend of similar cases. The victim was allegedly turned away from 3 hospitals while en route to treatment, sparking concerns about emergency response protocols. The MPs emphasized that no Ghanaian should be made to go through such a distressing situation ever again. Minority Leader Adisadel College, delivering a statement, said there must be a parliamentary inquiry into the incident to help prevent similar occurrences in the future.
I respectfully invite this Honorable House not to be silent over this. Now we must act. We are informed that the Ministry and HEFRA have launched investigations. We welcome these actions, but let no one mistake executive inquiry for parliamentary oversight. Under Article 103 of the 1992 Constitution, this House has the primary duty to investigate matters of public importance and to expose inefficiencies and maladministration. Therefore, in all humility, but with firmness of mind, I call on the Health Committee to be immediately empowered to do the following. 1, and Mr. Speaker, with your directive, summon the chief executive officers and heads of emergency units of the 3 hospitals involved. 2, demand production of triage logs, duty rosters, and bed occupancy records for that night. 3, establish conclusively whether the 2018 Ghana Health Service Directive was breached, and finally, determine whether professional misconduct or negligence occurred.
While Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga supported this position and said the investigation should be conducted comprehensively to ensure that anyone found culpable faces serious sanctions to serve as a deterrent. Well, you can join us with your comments via our WhatsApp line 055-111-1997.
This is what those who have done it today will be inspired by. They will talk, they'll do nothing. We want to see action this time. We want to see people held accountable so that the rest of the health personnel across the country will know that this parliament will not sit idly by whilst people negligently lead to the loss of life, such as what we have seen. So I thank my colleague for raising it. And Mr. Speaker, I do agree with him that even though government says we are setting up a committee to look into it, that this parliament should be interested in what happens. And so our committee for health should follow up on what government is doing. And then bring us a report. And if we are not satisfied with the outcome and the conclusions of government, that this parliament takes very drastic action. It is only then that citizens will know that when we converge here for their very existence.
Right, so that is proceedings from the House of Legislature a while ago. And still in the House, though, the Health Minister has also been responding to some questions and concerns raised by her colleague MPs.
Mr. Speaker, the issue of no-bed syndrome, unfortunately, is not a new issue. This issue has existed for so long, and unfortunately, we or the previous government was not able to fix it. Mr. Speaker, in this government, we will take a bold step. The John Dramani Mahama government is going to take a bold step to solve the problem of no-bed syndrome. Mr. Speaker, we are going to retool the hospitals, starting from the Chiefs compound.
That's the Deputy Health Minister, Grace Ayensu, in Parliament. Let's stay a while in the House and bring in my colleague Fatau Bayaga, who has monitored proceedings all day. Fatau, the Speaker, Alban Backman, says there is a need to bring finality to this issue. Did he propose any solutions?
Absolutely, Ken, he did. And in fact, the Speaker expressed concern following this particular development. He says that it's one of the needless deaths that the country has recorded in recent times. And he also said that if you look at health facility or health management within the country, even at rural areas, hinterlands, people are able to give others medical care. So he was surprised that within the city, the capital, and this particular incident was recorded. So he could think that there is a legislation. He said that emergency care law has to be passed in order to guide some of these things, so that when people visit the various hospitals, they won't be turned away needlessly.
This is one of the needless deaths we have experienced in this country. At the end of the day, I will urge the House for us to legislate on the matter. We need to pass an emergency care law on this matter. I know the conditions under which the health personnel operate, but I also know health personnel have handled accident cases, stabilized them in the bush, not in hospitals. Patriotic health workers have done that, and people have survived through that. So please, the few that are miscreants should not be allowed to at least carry the day.
Let's bring you more on the story, because the Ghana Medical Association has accused the government of allowing systemic failures in hospitals to persist, fueling the ongoing no-bed syndrome that puts patients' lives at risk. The General Secretary for the association, Dr. Richard Salome, spoke on the Super Morning Show.
I must commend you as Joy FM for bringing this issue back, but of course it is after another incident. What we also expect is the public should take ownership and demand that these issues are improved, and not just get into this cyclical runs, that we go back till another patient is lost, then runs, then we go back. No, we must all be invested. If we are serious about this matter, we must all be invested. Demand from your MP what is being done about this situation. Demand from your leaders accountability on this matter. And where people are found culpable, of course, let the rule take its course. Any investigations that seeks to bring out challenges and solve problems. But we also do not want it to be seen as if the nurses and doctors involved there are the only people and the problem, and we are looking for scapegoats to punish, rather than use it as an opportunity to solve a systemic problem. In other places, when issues like this happen, laws are even passed and big changes happen because of things like this.
We've also been hearing from Democracy and Development Fellow on Public Health, Kwame Saponisiri, who says Ghana's healthcare system is failing patients with under-equipped hospitals and overstretched emergency units, leaving critical cases like hit-and-run victims at risk.
Yes, I see a letter saying that 2 doctors and 2 nurses have been interdicted. At the surface, I'll say right move, because maybe they were at the cold phase. But we know this person went to 3 hospitals to start with. Were there health professionals at those 3 hospitals? Then you come to the microcosm of the people who've been interdicted. Who are they? Under what conditions were they working? For example, were they just junior house officers or medical officers who had come in, who were trying to do their best under a bad condition? We don't know.
Well, let's bring you more on this. And Deputy Director for Policy Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation at the Ghana National Ambulance Service, Dr. Simon Nyaba, says critical shortages of oxygen and lack of funding are undermining emergency response nationwide, leaving ambulances ill-equipped to save lives in urgent cases.
Oxygen is one of the major commodities that we use in our ambulances. And as we speak now, we do not even have an oxygen plant of our own. We rely on external sources, and sometimes when they have shortages of their own or they have operational issues, then we have difficulties in that regard. The main issue is sustainable, reliable, and dedicated source of funding in terms of our operations. That will allow for some kind of a fleet renewal program. It will allow for development of the infrastructure, our educational programs that we have charted as a way forward in addressing some of these challenges.
Away from health, though, government is pushing back against criticism that renaming Kotoka International Airport will incur unnecessary costs, with Transport Minister Joseph Nikpe asserting the move won't burden the state financially. Joseph Nikpe said the renaming is already effective, with updates to official documents and signage underway, and clarified that parliamentary approval isn't needed, citing the airport's 1969 decree naming. The proposal to rename the airport was criticized by the opposition MPP, describing it as unnecessary and wasteful.
It comes at a cost. And is this cost really necessary to Ghanaians? It comes at a cost. All the boards, every correspondence should be changed. Your letterheads, everything, envelopes that have been. And sometimes, when they are going to print, they print it in bulk. You go there and you see like thousands and thousands of letterheads there.
They print them for years.
Yes. Then you go there and then all these things have to be money gone down the drain. Please, we need to get our priorities right.
But at a news conference today, the Transport Minister Joseph Nikpe insisted the move will not attract any new financial burden to the state.
We are already renovating the airport. We are already doing construction of the airport to make it function properly. And some of those things would have been destroyed and rebranded. It's just the matter of the Kotoka out and the Accra in. So what will be the cost? Even though there will be some cost to it, but it is not that cost that somebody will care about. It is going to be a minimum because of the renovation. The costs involved will be very, 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 very small as compared to other airports that you have to deal international, regional, and national.
Well, he also noted that the renaming of the airport has taken effect and that the new name will soon be reflected in official documents and signage at the airport.
There's nothing to change at the international level. The only thing to change is the signages and the billboards that we have. But Kotoka, as a company, they already have the vendors who produce their letterheads on daily basis for them. So it's not a new contract. It's just a matter of Kotoka is now out. The same vendors who were doing their letterheads, their stamps, are the same companies to continue to now change. Just a removal of Kotoka and it will be Accra.
Well, let's stay a while on transport because the sector minister clarified that the renaming of Kotoka International Airport does not require parliamentary legislation, noting that the airport was originally named by decree all the way in 1969.
You remember that it came as a result of the NLCD 309. It was a decree that was brought to set a trust to cater for the families of Kotoka and other soldiers who were killed along that time. And there was no any legislature in Parliament to operationalize it. And so there is no anything in it for Parliament to amend or Parliament to legislate.
Well, he also argued that there is no need for legislation for the renaming of the airport.
As to have a legislation on naming of airports to be a holistic one, not only the Accra Airport, Accra International Airport alone. And so if the idea to government is that at this point we should look at how all our airports will be named, then that is not something that government can say no, or maybe we will not consider. It is worth considering, but at this point, we are not legislating to name airports. We have issued, like it was, a decree, and a part of the decree was to honor Kotoka, which they did to honor. But the main purpose of that decree, 339, was to set up a trust to take care of the families, to get accommodation, get education, get other facilities to support the families of those who were killed.
That's the Transport Minister, Joseph Bukari Nikbe.
Well, the Ghana Meteorological Agency is warning farmers, fisherfolk and communities in southern Ghana to prepare for above-average rainfall from March to June. The agency launched its Meteorological Awareness Month and shared its 2026 seasonal forecast, urging stakeholders to take precautions to protect lives and property ahead of the potentially challenging rainy season.
The Ghana Meteorological Agency has indicated that southern Ghana is likely to experience higher rainfall in the coming months, a development that could heighten flood risk in low-lying and flood-prone communities. According to GMET, areas within the coastal forest and transitional zones are expected to record rainfall amounts that will match or exceed the 30-year historical average. Dr. Eric Isuman is Director General of GMET.
But we've done analysis for the past 30 years raining pattern. You analyze the data and then determined the mean, the average, all right, compared to what is going to happen this year, the forecasted period. We are saying that it's going to be either like what has been happening for the past 30 years or above what has happened over the past 30 years. This tells us that we are likely to have a lot more rainfall compared to the long-term mean. And so it goes to tell us that people who are living in flood-prone areas and possibility of flooding and flash flood will occur. So our message is that this forecast shouldn't be looked at in isolation. You look at it holistically by following all the advisories and updates that come with it.
Meanwhile, the government is set to upgrade GMET to an authority, giving the institution expanded policy and regulatory powers. The move is part of an ongoing legislative review by the sector ministry. According to the Minister of Communications and Digital Technology, Sam Nati George, the proposal is before Cabinet and he's optimistic it will reach Parliament before year end.
We're currently before Cabinet. And so we believe that with the review, because in the review we're not just upgrading them to an authority, we're actually expanding the scope of their services to not just the aviation sector, but even the maritime sector, the oil sector, engineering and building. So the scope of, because you've seen from today's work that we've done here, the scope of what meteorological services, the result of their work is. So we're expanding the scope, and we're hopeful that once we're able to clear Cabinet, we'll go to the Attorney General. It will be laid before Parliament before the end of the year.
The planned reforms signal a broader push to reposition Ghana's meteorological services to meet increasing national demands. For Joy News, Michelle Latte.
Let's take you to the Central Region now, where 6 students of Aggrey Memorial Senior High School have been arrested for allegedly assaulting a final-year student of Adisadel College after the Intercolleges Sports Festival at the Cape Coast Stadium. In a statement, police said the victim, Rexford Owusu-Ansan, was attacked at Pedu Junction on Friday, February 20th, shortly after leaving the event. Well, the case comes just days after 7 students were arrested in connection connection with a separate assault on a student of Outrage Senior High Technical School by students of Swedro Business School during a district athletics competition. And Pearl will help us with the details from that particular police statement. Pearl, what additional details can you share from that particular statement released by the police?
Well, the police in their statement say that on the 20th of February 2026 at approximately 7:30 p.m., authorities of Aggrey Memorial Senior High School in Cape Coast escorted 6 students, all juveniles, to the Kotoka police station and reported the alleged involvement in an assault earlier that day. And according to the police, the school authorities reported that about 3:30 p.m. on the same date, the suspect allegedly attacked Rexford Owuswanse, a final year student of Adisadel College at Pedu Junction. The police go on to say that upon receiving the complaint, police arrested and detained the 6 juveniles to assist with investigations. Now, preliminary police inquiry indicates that the incident occurred after the final day of Intercolleges Sports Festival at the Cape Coast Stadium on Friday, February 20, 2026. Now, the victim was reportedly leaving the stadium with 2 friends when they were approached by a group of Aggrey Memorial students who asked whether they attended Adisadel College. Moments later, Kenneth, the group allegedly launched an attack. Now, while the 2 accompanying students managed to escape, Rexford Owuswanse was reportedly overpowered, knocked to the ground and assaulted. His iPhone, an amount of approximately 1,400 cedis, and his shoes were allegedly taken. Now, Kenneth, it goes on to say that he was initially treated at the stadium clinic before being referred to the Cape Coast Regional Hospital. He was discharged on Sunday, the 22nd of February.
Right, and let's get on to the telephone lines right now and bring in Daniel Fenyi. He is the spokesperson for the Ghana Education Service. Daniel, grateful for your time this evening. Before we get to this latest incident on Aggrey Memorial, we need some clarity on a few things. The first one is how many people have been arrested so far in connection with the Outrage Senior High School technical incident?
Yes, so indeed, presently we have 7 of the suspected culprits arrested. 3 of them from Swedro School of Business, 4 of them from Outrage Senior High Technical. Currently assisting the police with investigations. Obviously, we would have to understand why the assault in the first place. It's a program that is meant to be fun, that is meant to be games for the learners, and that is meant to discover on earth, nurture learners who have talent and passion in sports. We believe that it's supposed to be an avenue for unity, lovely competition among the schools, and an avenue for them to have fun, have games, and then exhibit their gifts and talent as well. We don't understand why some of them would turn such an avenue into a battleground where assault, where violence, where abuses became the order of the day. Yes.
Well, Daniel, we know that there was a meeting that was held over the Outrage incident. What was discussed?
Indeed. So this was yesterday. The Director General caused this meeting. We hosted a delegation from the Central Region. Both schools are in the Central Region. And so we engaged the Regional Director of Education. We also engaged the municipalities and the metropolis where the schools are located. And so we have Aguna West and Municipal Directorate come in. We also have Cape Coast Metropolis Directorate, Educational Directorate come in. We also engage the heads of the various schools involved. So we engage the head of Outrage Senior High Technical, the head of Swedro School of Business, Point Apple Senior High Technical. We also engage Aggrey Memorial, the head mistress of Aggrey Memorial Senior High School, the head of Adisadel College, and then we also engage the parents of the victims. We engage the victims themselves. So they were also present at the meeting, the students. And basically, we, as management, wanted to, away from the rumors, away from the news spreading, wanted to establish first-hand information and confirmation of the news making the rounds, we also needed to understand what measures as a region and then district and the school level had put in place to ensure the safety and security of the students participating in the sports and then their teachers as well. We also needed to understand the way forward, what could be done or should be done to avoid or prevent such unfortunate situation from occurring. And those are the reasons basically for which we met the various authorities. And I should admit that all the parties were very cooperative. We, at the Central Region, have suspended the ongoing sports competition because we believe that if the security of the learners are compromised, then there's no point having them converge to continue the game. So that has been suspended so that investigations will be conducted thoroughly into some of the incidents that have taken place. We also wanted to make sure or establish for ourselves how the victims are faring, because earlier there had been news spreading across that some of the victims had passed. And fortunately, the good news is that no victim had passed. In fact, we engaged the victims themselves, and the learner who was purported to have passed away was actually at the meeting. And those are the facts that we established. And then we also urged the Central Regional Directorate to return and collaborate strongly with the security agencies to conduct thorough investigations into the incident and bring back feedback to the management so we can take some definite decisions going forward.
Now, beyond suspending these sporting activities in the Central Region, like you mentioned, what permanent measures did both sides agree on that will be put in place to prevent a recurrence of such incidents in our schools?
Indeed, for such definitive decisions, we wanted to conduct the investigations and finalize some of the findings that may come out of these investigations before definite decisions or actions are taken, in order not to preempt the outcomes of these investigations. So for now, the positive side is that all the schools, all the parties involved are 100% willing to cooperate, to collaborate, and then to come out with lasting solutions to this. What we have tasked them at the moment is to make sure they finalize these investigations, propose their safety measures as a region and then as a district, and then come back to management to have some definitive solution to this. But beyond the region, because we should admit as management that there have been pockets of similar instances even in other regions as well, for which, in fact, for some of them, decisions have been taken. So for Eastern region, some schools have been suspended for 2 years from outing and sporting activities generally. And so we have also tasked the director of sports at the Ghana Education Service to go back to their code of conduct governing the games or the football activities or sporting activities, and then look at the loopholes in their codes for which perhaps the students exploited to harm themselves, and see how those loopholes could be closed or sorted out
and
to ensure the security and safety of our learners and then the teachers.
How soon should we expect the outcome of this investigation?
In fact, we expect it to be as thorough as possible. We expect very quality investigations. Our thinking is that by the close of the week, the investigations would have been concluded. Indeed, for issues such as this, where the police is even involved, we anticipate that some of the suspected corporates might be processed for court. We also, of course, the victims have received medical care and attention, and they continue to receive these medical care and attention. And so for the investigations, we expect that by close of the week, we should hear some conclusions from the investigations, but we also want to allow for very thorough and very quality investigations, since the outcomes could lead to the imprisonment of some of the cooperatives they have found culpable, and then for the victims too, because they are going through medical procedures, we would want them to go through it as procedurally as possible. And so we are hoping that close of the week we should hear from the Central Regional Directorate,
right,
and they should be far advanced in the investigations.
And Daniel, it appears that that meeting that you had to ensure that this doesn't happen again really didn't work, because while that meeting was ongoing, another group of students from Aggrey Memorial School were arrested for similar incidents.
Indeed. So the incidents with Aggrey Memorial, and I should admit that the headmistress of Aggrey Memorial was in the meeting. And so the incident itself happened somewhere last week, Friday. And so we needed reports on what had happened to. So it's not as though the meeting didn't work. The incident itself happened before the meeting. And in fact, it was part of the agenda for the meeting. And reports we received from the headmistress is that the students have been, the suspected culprits have been arrested. The victim is also receiving medical care and then attention. So indeed, it was actually part of the discussions we had, and we would also expect that the investigations that we have caused the Central Regional Directorates to conduct would touch on seriously on the incident between some students of Aggrey Memorial and then Adisadel College, where the student from Adisadel College was the victim here, and then some students. And in fact, our preliminary report says that the incident was very, very random, just some session of students randomly meeting another student from Adisadel College at Pedu Junction. If you know Cape Coast very well, far away from the sporting event, far away from the sporting activities, and they made a random attack.
Right. Daniel Fenye, thank you very much. He's the spokesperson for the Ghana Education Service. You can be a part of the show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. That brings us to business, and George Wiafe is here with the latest. George, what have you got for us?
Hi, Kenneth, and coming up in business, industries describe 15% contribution to the economy target by 2030 as achievable if given the required support, and some market watchers describe recent debt repayment as a tool that would aid investor confidence and improve credit ratings for the country. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, Synthesis tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal. Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, industries have maintained that they can increase the sector's contribution to the economy if given the needed support. Now, this was after President John Mahama announced the administration is looking at increasing industry's contribution to gross domestic product by 15% by 2030. Chief Executive Association of Ghana Industries, Chuma Kwabwa, says industry's output has been impacted by the current economic environment. Meanwhile, the Chief Executive has also been responding to President Mahama's charge for industries to lead the way when it comes to job creation.
Scaling up is not that difficult, but scaling up is always driven by demand. So as we have under the 24-hour economy, where the president is projecting that we'll have companies or manufacturing firms working around the clock on 24-hour basis, running 3 shifts. If you're able to do that, you'll be able to create the jobs. But that does not come easily. It requires that we have demand driving the 24-hour economy and pushing people to produce more and create more jobs. Now, if you don't have adequate demand, who will produce and stock and not send to the market? So you really need to create the demand. The demand is created by so many things. One, your price must be competitive. because we have a lot of competition in the system. We have influx of goods coming from different various parts of the world. So if you are not producing at a certain level of cost, and therefore your product pricing is not competitive, then you cannot drive demand. So you need to do that.
Sir Chuma Kabwa is Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries. Now, financial consultant Dennis Brown is optimistic about investor confidence in the economy picking up strongly in the coming months. Now, this was after government announced interest payments to holders of the domestic debt exchange program that was last. Dennis Brown argues that this could also impact on Ghana's credit ratings going forward.
In fact, the government, to assure investors in its first budget, indicated I was going to create a sinking fund where I was going to allocate funds purposely for meeting these commitments as they fell due. And this is exactly what they've done. So, it's like going back to investors and say, well, I gave you my word and this is it. So it only boosts confidence in our economy, not only from the perspective of the domestic investors who has received their payment, but the international creditors are also watching and are also nodding their head that, okay, these guys are serious. It looks like they have improved in terms of liquidity and solvency. It looks like they have built enough reserves, and it looks like the economy has stabilized, and that's how come they are able to meet this commitment. So they should be willing and ready to do business with us. In terms of the credit outlook, the international credit rating agencies are also looking at what's happening. If you made a commitment to investors and you are not able to meet it, normally, it could lead to a downgrade in your economy, and that's something that the international, investors they are very keen on. They want their ratings, to decide whether they want to keep doing business with us or not. With this happening, I'll be, surprised if we suffer any downgrade. Worst case scenario, the upgrades that we experienced recently will be maintained, or it could further lead to, further upgrades, if I can put it that way. And that can further boost confidence, in our economy, particularly from the perspective of the international investors.
Dennis Brown is a financial consultant. Now, Transport Minister Joseph Bukari is rejecting suggestions that the name change of the country's premier international airport will come with some huge cost to the country. Now, government this week announced that the name change from Kotoka International Airport to Accra International Airport. Speaking at a news conference, he said projections being made by some analysts are not accurate.
The only thing to change is the signages and the billboards that we have. But Kotoka, as a company, they already have the vendors who produce their letterheads on daily basis for them. So it's not a new contract. It's just a matter of Kotoka is now out. The same vendors who were doing their letterheads, their stamps, are the same companies to continue to now change. Just removal of Kotoka and it will be Accra. So what will be the cost there? We are already renovating the airport. We are already doing construction of the airport to make it function properly. And some of those things would have been destroyed and rebranded. It's just the matter of the Kotoka out and the Accra in. So what will be the cost? Even though there will be some cost to it, but it is not that cost that somebody will care about. It is going to be a minimum because of the renovation. The costs involved will be very, 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 very small as compared to other airports that you have to deal international, regional, and national.
And that is the Minister of Transport, Joseph Bukari Nikpe. Now, the Bank of Ghana and the Securities and Exchange Commission have promised to take some tough sanctions against firms and persons that fail to comply with its directive of removing all cryptocurrency billboards and marketing campaigns. Now, the two regulators in a joint notice last week directed that virtual asset service providers to remove all the branding and marketing campaigns within 48 hours. The regulators clarified that no firm, regardless of its status, has the right to engage in any mass promotional campaigns without direct clearance. To other story, the senior country partner Deloitte Olati has described the new financing model for Cocoa Board as prudent, which will go a long way to turn around its dwindling fortunes. Government has rolled out a series of measures to put Cocoa Board on a strong footing. A key among them is the absolving the about $100 million debt on its books. Mr. Olati tells Joy Business this initiative should have come a long time ago to help put the institution on a strong footing. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Well, thank you, George. It's now time for sports, and Benaya is here with the latest. Benaya, what's in sports?
We're heading to the camp of Kumasi Asante Kotoka because Prince Yaosu couldn't hide his relief after his side secured a much-needed result in Winchi on Sunday, defeating Young Apostles 2-0 in a crucial Ghana Premier League encounter. Now, the victory ended a 3-match winless round and lifted the Porcupine Warriors back into the Ghana Premier League top 4, thanks to first-half goals from Johnson Opongousu and captain Samba O'Neill. Now, with 7 points behind league leaders Mediama, with 11 matches remaining, the Kotoka boss isn't giving up on winning the league title.
House of Rock came with the system. We spoke to our boys the way we should tackle that system. We went out there, they were doing something different. Today they listened to us, they did what we asked them to do, and that's gotten us 2 goals. So we're trying to close the gap little by little, game after the game. But this is the first one that we said, no, we don't have to lose this game, we have to win and then get prepared for the next game as well. If we get that one, it means we are getting closer to it.
That's Coach Prince Owusu there, and that's it for the sports segment. Over to you, Kenneth.
Well, thank you very much, Benaya, but don't go yet. What do you think about Michael Carrick's performance as Manchester United coach? Take your biases out.
I'm being very objective.
Take your Chelsea spectacles and be objective.
Well, I think he's doing great since his appointment. I think United have been on a massive round of form, like really impressive. And the impressive thing is he's doing this with the same crop of players that Ruben Amorim also had, and it seems to be working for him. So the question was, what was Ruben Amorim doing wrong that wasn't working for them? And some would say, I think, Carrick is this kind of calm, cool-headed guy. When he was playing, during his playing days, everyone was like, he's such a confident guy, but very calm, but he always gets the job done. And I think he's taking it into the dressing room and the United players. When you have a coach and the players want to play for you, no matter what you do, they're going to play for you. And it looks like the United players are playing for him. They are listening to whatever he's telling them, and it's working for them.
Well, let's see how long that will last anyway.
When he started, people thought it was this manager bounce, but it looks like, Charlie, it's not manager bounce. So the thing is actually working. So
let's see.
Let's see how it goes. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Benaya.
But what's happening to your Real Madrid? You want me to go? I want to ask you about Real Madrid, since you said you lost over the weekend, and it's some way.
You see, our lowest point is what some teams dream to be. Is where some teams dream to be. Despite that, we're just a point behind Barcelona, who are league leaders.
That shows how bad the league is, though.
That also shows how good we have. Such a high standard that, I mean, if we falter even just 1 second, people will talk about it. But that's fine. I mean, Chelsea wishes they have the points that we have at this point. Anyway.
Are you confident that with this performance you can win the Champions League, because tomorrow you're in action? Is it looking good?
Which team has won the most Champions League titles?
Real Madrid, of course.
Thank you. That's the answer. Thank you.
All right.
Right. And here are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. Nana Ekwiyamwa Boatin from Ablekuma Central says the government is deliberately failing to understand the reasons why Ghanaians voted for them. They should tell us where in their manifesto is it captured that the renaming of airport is something that will solve Ghanaian problems, misplaced priorities. I cannot wait to vote against them come 2028. And Sherry Giovanni says, the negligence by our health practitioners have been recorded in our health facilities, and it is alarming, and it is raising questions of the kind of training these health professionals are receiving. As for the Deputy Health Minister, she should know that the campaigns are over and governance is at play. If the erstwhile administration couldn't fix the low birth syndromes, this government has been elected to fix them. She should be serious. And this from Kwame Inamasaman says, this transport minister isn't on top of his job. What is his plan this year for railway with all these issues of failed public transport system? And this from Michelle at Legon. Michelle says, it's unfortunate the violent conduct of SHS students in recent times, but I will blame the Parliament of Ghana for all these. These students saw on live TV members of the House involved in violence and destruction of public property. Almost a year now, no action has been taken against them. These students now see such violent activities as normal with no consequences. The Speaker must crack the whip, then everything will fall in line. Francis from Accra says, in fact, on this no bed issue leading to the death of a victim, it is a serious one. How can an accident victim be turned away? Is this what they were taught at nursing school on handling emergency cases of accident victims? No matter what there is, whether there is a bed or not, on the SHS saga, the students of the victim or the parents of the victim should look for the perpetrators and their parents and visit their homes. And this one from Kotoka Carriage in Alnoga, Lashibi in the Volta region says, it is unfortunate. How can students be behaving in such a hooliganistic manner? These students should be dealt with. And this one says, the invigilators at the Ghana Education Service, culprits, victims, etc. How are they dealing with the talents in the affected schools? How is the state hoping to identify and nurture those talents? Those are some of the messages that you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. You're still listening to Newsnight. In other stories this evening, the Institute of Community Sustainability has launched a campaign to end the consumption of cats and dogs in Ghana, declaring that these animals should be recognized as, quote, vital members of our homes rather than livestock. The Institute is calling on government to criminalize the trade to protect both public health and the nation's social fabric. Listen to the Executive Director of the Institute, Eric Jerry Edu.
Dogs are family. So it's very sad the way people are consuming dogs and cat meat, and now they are having a carnival for Alunte carnival. They are having a dog carnival and stuff. And another thing is, the people have started eating bulldog. If when you take 100 Ghanaians, if 35% of them consume dog meat, and in Ghana here we don't have any dog farm. Ask yourself where the dogs are coming from. So we still stand on our decision. We are still calling the Ministry of Health. We are still calling the Parliament to ban consumption of dog and cat meat here in Ghana. Some call it baby meat, and so kind of funny names.
Well, there are some reactions to this particular story on the streets of Accra. Listen.
If you want to cut my house, I have more than 10 cats and 4 dogs. I'm growing them. I'll eat them very well. So go and tell them. Go and pray to them. We say we won't stop today, tomorrow, until we die.
The animals that we are living with, that in both ways, spiritually and physically, they guide us. I think we taking their life just like that is not in its appropriate way. I agree with the ICS.
It should be banned for us to be able to sustain the livelihood of these animals. Even the way they kill them, you realize that it's not right.
Well, residents of Salakope, Awutini and Agaveji and other coastal communities in the Ketu South municipality are heaving a sigh of relief as the sea defense project resumes. Ivy Sotoji, my colleague, reports.
For decades, residents of Salakope, Awutini, Agaveji and surrounding communities have endured severe destruction from tidal waves. Houses, livestock and school buildings have been submerged, with the sea claiming several acres of land. Businesses have collapsed, school structures washed away, and fisher folks have lost their net. Boats and other working tools. Fishmongers were not spared, rendering many youth jobless. To mitigate the situation, President John Dramani Mahama refused with cut saw to continue the construction of the sea defense project aimed at protecting the coastal communities and restoring the livelihoods of thousands of residents. A visit to the construction site by Joy News confirmed the rapid pace of work. The cameras captured colorful residents, including children, watching the ongoing construction with joy and relief as they look forward to recovering their homes, businesses, and valuables previously destroyed by tidal waves. Tete Ruben, a resident of Salakope and one of the severely affected victims, recounted his losses, stating that everything he worked for had been consumed by the sea. He, however, expressed gratitude to President Mahama for his commitment to continue the sea defense project.
My house is located currently in the sea. We have no place to stay, but it is nobody's fault. I have worked in Cameroon for 22 years, and everything I brought back is gone to the sea, and currently have to beg to sleep. I am grateful to the President Mahama the MP for the project. The sea was previously very far from here where we are standing, far, but now the sea have taken over everything, and now I have no place to sleep. I'm homeless. We are grateful to the governments, the president, the MP, and everyone. It's true, the sea really destroyed our properties, our homes, and left us stranded. We are left with no work. We don't have work to do.
As they continue counting their losses, residents and school children remain hopeful that upon completion of the sea defense project, their lives and livelihoods will finally return to normal. Ivy Sotoji, Joy News.
This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDK in Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from Claire R4I Opportunities Fund.
And that's it for News 9 this evening. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Ofori.
Have a good evening.